All right, everyone, welcome to Breslov Friday. I think that's what Oren calls our little group, right? And Baruch Hashem, we're in Likutey Halachos, Hashkamas Habayker Aleph, and today we're up to letter Test 9. Oh, the Rebbe says an amazing thing today. Here we go. Okay, so we would so we started off, right? We went through, we did our Modani and Miskaber Kari, right? And then we started with the Karbanot, right? And we did the Ketairis, right? And then we did Psuki the Zimmer we spoke about, right? Right, the song, right? And then we come to Birchas Kriyashma, right? That's the order, right? We do Yishtabach and then Birchas Kriyashma, okay? Now, Umavarchin LaHashem Yisbarach al Chidush Maseh Bereishis Shemachadish B'Tuvay B'Chol Yom Tamid. This is a fascinating concept. Reb Nosson writes that we have emunah in Hakadosh Baruch Hu, we have emunah in the Torah, of course, in the Jewish people, but something that some people don't realize is that we have to have emunah in Chidush Ha'olam. What does that mean? What does it mean Chidush Ha'olam? That Hakadosh Baruch Hu is constantly renewing the world. The world is not the same old. It's always new. It's always fresh. It's always something special, brand new right now. It's brand new. In other words, and if we really work on that, it gives us a new level of excitement in our avodas Hashem. Because, wow, I'm new now. I'm not the same old, I'm not that guy I thought I was a minute ago. I'm a new person now. Which means I don't have to. I'm not involved in all my negative tendencies that I thought that I'm attached to. Otherwise, people think that they're attached to things and they can't get out of it because I'm the same guy. It's the same thing. So how can I ever change? But if everything is new and I'm a new person now, so I couldn't do that 5 minutes ago. But hey, now I can. Who said I can't do it now? Now I can, but this is a very important thing to have emunah in Chidush Ha'olam. The emunah in Chidush Ha'olam. Bechinas Masei HaMishkan Nivne Me'atoiv. And then we saw, like we were talking about the Mishkan, right? The Mishkan was made from the Tov. Everyone gave whatever was Nedivas Levi, whatever that was dear and near and dear to them. They gave the contribution to build the Mishkan, right, and the Beis HaMikdash and so on. Ki tziura the mishkanta, tziura the Bereishis, because both the creation, the fashioning of the Mishkan and the creation of the world, they're equated. We're equating this creation of the Mishkan to the creation of the world because again it was done with the Lamed Tes Malachos, right? We learn out for Shabbos. We learn from the Melechas HaMishkan, right? We learn the Lamed Tes Malachos, correct? Right, and then Hakadosh Baruch Hu used the malachos, so to say, Hashem used those to build the world. So again, when we're making an equation here, we're equating the malachas hamishkan to the creation of the world. And that is the main part of tikkun atfilah. We're masakening our tefillah. Ki beisi beis tefillah yikari l'chol amin. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Beisi, his house. What's Hashem's house? The Beis HaMikdash. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's house was the Mishkan. Today, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's house is the Shul, right? Because it's the Mikdash Ma'at, right? That's what we have. Ki Beisi, Beis, Tefillah, right? Beisi, Beis Tefillah, Yikari L'cholam. And Hashem Elokim, Mekabeis Nidchei Yisrael. And it's the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is always working on gathering and collecting all the Jews, bringing everyone back in the most amazing different ways, right? Like, well, we're all here, gathered here, and all in the front. We're all from different places, and the HaKadosh Baruch Hu collects us and brings us into where we have. It's just fascinating. Ki ikar binyan beis hamikdash hu al yedei Hashem Yisbarach mekabeis nidchei Yisrael al yedei shemitzi gam b'amnidachim v'ha'ivdim nekudas tayvitz and mekabeis oisam el kedusha. How does this work? How does it work that HaKadosh Baruch Hu finds, even in those that were pushed off, and the lost ones, right? He finds something good in us because we're working on finding the good in ourselves as well, right? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings us and He collects us and He brings us to Kedusha. and that is the toiv that'll be gathered together with the forthcoming of Mashiach speedily in our day. Oh, we're waiting, mamish, b'mheira v'yameinu, speedily in our time. Because then we know we're waiting for what? Binyan Bayis Shlishi, right? We're waiting for Binyan Bayis Shlishi. And that's what we're hoping for. Bechinas Sahara Toiva Zeh. This mountain is good. What's that? That's the Har Bayis, right? Har Bayis is the Hara Toiva Zeh. Tikkun Tefillah, and that's where all the tefillahs are misakim. We know we daven. All Jews always daven in the direction of Yerushalayim, right? Wherever they are in the world, we're davening towards Yerushalayim. Why? Because we know at the Makom Amigdal, by the evidence you see, that's the Makom that the tefillahs are all misakim. So we all daven towards the Beis Hamikdash, right? Kika Tefillah Rak Ayidei Zeh is through that Ayidei HaToiv Shematzian. The main point of tefillah is when we can connect, like we said, we can't daven without the Peshei Yisrael. We have to daven with everyone. We collect all the Jews together, and then we said, who is a worthy Baal Tefillah? Who's a worthy Baal Tefillah? We learned about this. Who's a worthy Baal Tefillah? Somebody that can judge everyone in the room, in the shul, favorably. If that person can go up there to daven for the Yamid, and he's a person that, he just wants to show his voice, and he's full of gaiva, and he has resentment against half the people in the room. That's not about tefillah. We learned about tefillah is someone that can get up there to represent the community, someone like an example of Moshe Rabbeinu that was able to find the goodness in every single person. Make sense? You like that idea, Yeshua? Yeah?
Yeah.
There was the idea to understand that a shliach tzibur really has to look around the room before he goes up to daven and say, "Wow, I really love everybody here, and I'm coming up to represent everybody." That's what the shliach tzibur does, right? He's the messenger for the community, right? It's an amazing idea. So how can he be the messenger for the community if there's people he doesn't? He has resentment against. So he has to fix all of that. And that's what the Rebbe said. If he could be done, the whole kehila lakav schus, if this person can do that, then he's a truly a worthy, because that's might see in atoy. That's how you find the good. We're just reviewing now. That's why before we get to Shmon Esrei, tefillah means usually Shmon Esrei, right? And when you're learning Shas, in Masechta Brachas, every time tefillah is referring to Shmon Esrei. When you see the word tefillah, okay? So, Valkein, Kodem HaTefillah, before the Shmon Esrei, Oimrim Karbonos Psukei D'Zimra. We already said, we don't just jump into Daven Shmon Esrei, right? I mean, some people maybe come in later, but the proper way is to always daven the right way, to daven the right way in order. You don't daven out of order. Why? Because the Anshe Knesset Gedolah also set us up the way to do it. So we know that when we start off our davening, we're in Karbanis, we're in the Olam HaSiyah, and then we get from the Olam HaSiyah, you get to the world of Olam HaYetzirah, then you get to the Olam HaBriya, and then you get to Atzilus, the highest world. But what people don't understand is the Zayah says that actually when you finish, how do you get from one world to the next? The Kaddish, the Amen Yehi Shmei Rabbah, is what elevates us up to the next world. So people, it's unfortunate if someone's not saying Kaddish. Oh, we saved 3 minutes. We don't have to listen to a Kaddish, but you're missing out the whole thing. And it's because you're not leaving properly the Olam HaSiyah, the world that we're in, and getting up to the next world, to the Olam Yetzirah. We don't understand. Do you realize we're taking a big journey every time we daven? We're traveling, major. We're going, from worlds to worlds, and then we go to the next world, and we from the Olam HaYetzirah, we do Birchas Kriyishma. That's the Olam HaBriya. Yotzar Uvayre Chayshach. Right? What we say in the brachas, right? I'm just saying outside. What do we say? We say Yotzar Uvayre Chayshach. Rav Nosson says, what does it mean? Yotzar Uvayre Chayshach. Hakadosh Baruch Hu is Yotzar. The world of Yetzirah is Ar. Uvayrei, the world of Bria, is Chayshach. What do you mean the world of Bria is Chayshach? He says it's not dark. The world of Yetzirah is closer to the world of Asiyah, so we can have some inkling of what that world can be like. But each world is full of light, so much light. So the same way, if it's very, very sunny, it's blinding, right? If you come to you're riding in the car, right, and the sun is it's blinding because there's too much light. But when you say if it's too much light, why should it be blinding? Because there's too much light. So the world, so Rav Nosson says, the world of Bria is dark. The world of Bria is chayshim. It's not that it's dark. It's too much light. It's too much light for us to fathom. It's fascinating. But again, and that's what we're saying here. So in other words, you have to daven when you're davening. You start with Psukei de Zimra. You start with the Karbanas, and then you go to the Psukei de Zimra, and then you come to the Birchas Kriya Shema. All right, right? You come to Amachadish Betuva, and then you can come to Shemay Nesrei. Dahainu Shemavaran Nekudei Stavitz Mizen Nasa Nigunim Uzmirais via finding the Nekudas Stavitz in the Karbanos, in the Ketairis, like we learned about the Karbanos and the just reviewing. So we get it. The Ketairis, we said, it has the Chelban in it, and the Chelban was the awful smell. But again, when you put it together with the other 10, it was the most delightful aroma that there was. When the Ketairis were burning, it was the most delightful aroma. Okay, and through that you can make the Mishkan, and that's how we come to Tikkun HaTfilah, the Shemay Nasrei. That's when we say Birchas Kriya Shema, Shehein Birchas Heicholos the Kedusha. That's the bracha of the Heicholos, the different worlds. You could say it calls it Heicholos, but it's also the different worlds that we're going up to as we're traveling up. Bechinas Mishkan, Bechinas Beis HaMikdash. Shehein Bechinas Heicholos the Kedusha, the Mishkan, the Beis HaMikdash, or the Heicholos, the chambers of Kedusha. V'al Kain, Oimrim Oz, Uvetuvay Mechadesh B'chol Yoim Tamid Masei Bereishis. And then in the bracha, this is the main point of the lesson right here. Uvetuvay Mechadesh B'chol Yoim Tamid Masei Bereishis. We say this every morning. And why do we have to say this every morning? Because we have to reiterate to ourselves all the time that it's not the same. I'm not the same person. I'm a new person. I couldn't do this yesterday, but I could do this today. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has renewed the world today. It's a new, fresh world today that never was before, and it never will be the same as it is today. It's something this moment is special. This moment is special. Ki tziyura de mishkanta, tziyura de avda de bereshis. Okay, so far any questions? Anyone want to say anything? No? Wow, accepting? Okay, good. Omisham v'chinas ha-mishkan mekablam hatinoikos hevel pm she'ein boi chet. So we started off on the first page of Likutey Halachos. We were talking about the children, that the children, we know they don't have any chatoyim. So they would get, and the children start learning when they start learning Chumash in the Hasidic world. When the children start learning Chumash, they start with Vayikra. You heard of that, right?
Yeah, we did it in the first.
Yeah, the first page. Yeah, there's the first thing we did. Again, I'm just reviewing. That's all, reviewing. Okay, PM MBK, because the children have no hate. And where do they draw that from? They draw that from the Mishkan, from the Nikud, again, from all the sweetness and the goodness of the Beis HaMikdash and the Mishkan. That's where the children get their ability to learn and to daven, and the Hevel Piyam, the vapor that comes out of their mouth, is so pure. Okay, now, V'zeh b'chinas Kriya Shema, b'chinas v'shinamtam levanecha. In Kriya Shema, again, we're in Birchas Kriya Shema, v'shinamtam levanecha. We have to teach our children, v'limadatem oisam espanechem ledaber bam. We have to teach them and make them know very, very well. So I'll tell you this, something very interesting. You know, the system that we have today with the yeshiva system, right? It's really a b'di'evet. It's really a b'di'evet. Why is it a b'di'evet? Because really, what are we saying? That we're supposed to v'shinamtam levanecha. Teach your own son. Teach your son. Why would it be that we should teach our sons? Because we are the father of the child. So we understand the child better than anyone else. Today they put a kid in a room with 25, 30 kids, and they expect them to, follow suit with everybody else. And this, my Rebbe, Rav Chaim Kramer, he always would say, and he goes on stark that, that whenever a child goes through the yeshiva system and he comes out from it's a neis gadol. It's a nes gadol that he was able to come out of it, because how can it be? There's one Rebbe in the front there. There's one teacher, Mora, that's teaching. Now, how is this Mora supposed to know what all these kids need? How do they understand them? So yeah, some of the children that they're a little brighter and they're more conforming, they'll be. But what about all the rest of them? And that's why we see that's the problem. But we don't have no choice. So again, so any time we have the ability to learn with our children, and that's why those programs we have the father and son learning, it's so important, because you can take the opportunity to teach your child the right way. And you can have that in mind when you're doing that. Vishinamtam levanecha. I'm trying to be mekayim that right now. It's an amazing idea. Do you like that idea, David? It's a nice idea, right? No, so when you sit down with your children to learn with them, have in mind. You know what? I'm saying this in Kriya Shema 3 times a day. So let me actually fulfill it, and have in mind. A mitzvah tzrichas kavanah, right? We need to have kavanah when we do our mitzvah. So let's have the right kavanah, and when we teach our children. Okay, so far good. Okay. Because the main point of Kriya Shema, again, is the toiv that we're mavar, the good that we're mavar. How do we mavar the good? When we understand, like we said yesterday, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yud Kei Vav Kei is the same as Elokeinu. It's one, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. So then once I understand that there's no differentiation, no difference between Yud Kei Vav Kei and Elokeinu, it's really the same. Hashem is the good Hashem that does that's really doing everything for our ultimate good all the time. And that's how you can make the unification of the Shechina and Kudsha B'richa. What does that mean? So Rabbi Weinberger, Rabbi Moshe Weinberg, also he says all the time that from the Zayah that the Shechina, what is the Shechina? We talk about the Shechina all the time. So the Shechina is really the collection of all Nishmas Yisrael. That's the Shechina Kedusha. All Nishmas Yisrael is the Shechina. That's what the Shechina is. When we talk about the Shechinas here, what does that mean? In other words, Nishmas Yisrael is part of that. And that's Hashem. Of course it's Hashem, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is those parts of all the Neshamas are really part of Hashem. Right? You understand? So in other words, we're saying here, look at the words. We say this in the Shem Yichud all the time. How can I be miyached? How can I unify Hashem with the Shechina? How do I do that? Again, via finding the Nekudas Taivis in all Jews. Via doing that and finding the Nekudas Taivis myself, which that means I put myself part of the Shechina. I put myself back. In other words, when I feel I'm in no good and I don't have anything good and I'm on the wrong path, so then how am I connected to the Shechina? I'm not. But when I find the good and I connect myself back to the Shechina Kedusha, of course it's connecting to the Rabbeinu Shalom. And the Shechina has a lot of teferes, a lot of what word we would like to use, like a lot of splendor. It's delighted when all the neshamas are all back together with the Shechina. And that's what we're saying here. This is what the Zayah is bringing down, and this is what we have to understand. Rav Nassan and Rabbi Nachman are not making this stuff up. It's all coming from Shimon and the Zayah HaKadosh. Okay, that in other words, we have to constantly find the Nekudas Taivis, even in the Pashei Yisrael. And even if Chas v'Shalom, a Jew feels that he's part of the Pashei Yisrael, you still have to find the Nekudas Taivis in there. Yizeh b'chinas aliyas man, okay, lahalis hakedusha miyumkei aklipas, to lift up the kedusha from the depths and the depths of the klipas of the husks and bring it up. Yizeh mispaeres v'yoser v'yoser, and the more time, the more nekudas taivis that we could bring up, and the more goodness that we could find in the places that it's low, it's the lowest places. Mm-hmm. But we can find, what do you say?
I'm just reading the English for myself.
Yeah, okay, what does it say?
It's as if when the good points that were embedded in the lowest levels are raised up and elevated, that the Shekhinah is, so to speak, proudest.
Proudest, yeah, that's the word, right? And it's about proudest. It's proud because again, the lower, the more you can reveal from the lowest places, the more you can reveal, the lower it was, and you reveal it. It's so much more precious. It's okay. Do you understand? Does anyone understand that? Why? Because if it's so low, it's so lost. But yet you find it, oh, it's so dear. Like if you lost something, right? If you're looking for an item that you lost, right? And it's been a long time since you saw it, and then you're cleaning for Pesach, let's say, or something, right? And then, wow, there it is. What a great joy do you have when you find that thing? You thought it was lost, you never see it again. Well, you see it again, you're so happy to see it, right? So too the Shekhinah, when that Nekuda Tova that was stuck in the Klippas, it was drowning in the Klippas, but now it's elevated. Oh wow, that's such a great joy for the Shekhinah. That's a little way I think that we can understand the level of joy that the Shekhinah has. That's the main covenant of Hashem. K'may Kosev Rabbeinu Zal in many times in lesson in Chelik Aleph in lesson 10, right? And Sivan Yudal the lesson number 14 in Likutey Moran of lesson 10. K'may Sheisa B'Zayah Kad Asa Yisroi Daike Kedein Istalek V'Yisyake Shemay Kutche Brichu Eloah B'Sato. When look at the words that he brings. The fact that Yisroi was able to come, it brought such a yakar, such a greatness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? That why? Because he was able to take something from the lowest place. Who was Yisroi? Yisroi was the Kayan Midyan, right? Who was Yisroi? He was the Kayan Midyan, right? Rashi says that he knew every single Avodah Zarah. He knew every single Avodah Zarah. Not only did he know him, he worshipped every single Avodah Zarah. Amazing, fascinating. Yisrael worshipped every Avodah Zarah. But again, so Rav Nosson is trying to bring this idea of when the Nekuda Tova was stuck in the Klippas, could have been more stuck in anything than Yisrael. I mean, every single Avodah Zarah. I mean, Rashi knows what he's talking about. He brings it from Maimon Chazal. It's not, Rashi didn't make that up. But so that was why it was so special. That when Yisrael was able to come to the recognition, a little bit almost like Avraham Avinu. Yisrael was a little bit like Avraham Avinu. Because Yisrael came on his own, think about it, he came on his own to realize all of these things that I'm doing are all stupid. What am I doing? He came to that recognition on his own. It's fascinating. He served all the idols. He was the Kayan Midyan. He served all the idols. And that's why the people of Minyan, they abandoned him, right? That's why Moshe Rabbeinu, when he came over there, right, with Zipporah, right, she was shepherding the sheep because no one wanted to deal with him anymore. He abandoned them. Yisro abandoned the people of Minyan. You realize that, right?
But he abandoned them?
Back then, yeah, he already realized there was something going on already. He was already realizing that as he's doing each Avodah Zarah, it's stupid. So he said,
before Yom Suf.
Yeah, before Yom Suf, yeah.
When he met Moshe.
Moshe met Yisro way before when we were still in Mitzrayim.
Yeah,
when Moshe ran away, he ran.
Not when Moshe met him.
When Moshe met Yisro originally. I'm trying to tell you why when Moshe Rabbeinu met Yisro originally, why were the girls again shepherding the sheep? Why were Yisro's daughter? Because none of the men in the city, he had to be his own family. He only had daughters. Uh-huh. And no one would ever help him anymore because Yisro was, so to say, excommunicated from the people of Midian because what are you? These are our Avodah Zarah. What are you doing? And he's telling them, no, they're no good. They're no good. He realized already.
So it was before Yom Suf he came to the conclusion.
He's already, before the markets of Mitzrayim, he started to realize something. But then the fact that he was able to come to Moshe Rabbeinu and to admit, that's why, they say like this, the Svarim all say, why is about Tshuva so precious to Hashem? Why is about Tshuva? Because, we all have an ego. Everyone has an ego. So if a person's 30, 40, 50 years old, and he's living his life a certain way, And then he says, I made a mistake, and I'm going to follow the way of HaShem. Wow, that's very, very big that a person could say that I was wrong. People don't like to say they're wrong, right? People never like to admit that I made a mistake. No, it's your fault. It's his fault. It's their fault. It's never, the ego doesn't let us do that. But when we can overcome that, that's so precious to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what it says, B'makim ba'al tshuva oimdim ein tzadikim gemurim oimdim. Right? Why is that? Right? And the place where Baal Tshuva stands is a greater place than even the place of the tzaddikim. I'll tell you a story from the Kedushas Levi. There's a beautiful story on this idea. The one time the Kedushas Levi was taking a taking a walk in the city of Berditchev with his Hasidim. And they saw on one of the street corners, there was a big commotion. There was the police was there, and they were arresting this guy Yankel. They were arresting Yankel. So the Kedushas Levi went over to Yankel, to see, hey, Yankel, what happened? He says, Rebbe, you don't know me? So the Rebbe says, no, I don't know you. He says, I'm Yankel the Ganev. I'm the thief. I'm Yankel the thief. So the Rebbe looks at Yankel and he says, I'm a kind of you. I'm jealous of you. Yankel says to the Rebbe, what do you mean you're jealous of me? The Rebbe says to him, because when you're going to do tshuva, you're going to be much greater than me. You'll be much greater than me. You're a thief. But when you do tshuva, you'll be on a higher level than me. Well, Yankel was a wise guy. And Yankel said to the Rebbe, well, when they let me out, I'm going to make one big thief. And then I'll even be I'll be much bigger than you. He was a wise guy. No, but we understand this idea that again, that's what we're trying to say, that Yisro was able to come back. He understood that there's something, I could be somebody new. I don't have to be that guy that I was. That's the thing.
So he was very much like Avraham Avinu.
Yes. Listen.
Even more so.
Well. Okay. Listen. Let's not take away from. It's a different thing. Avraham Avinu didn't worship the idols. Avraham Avinu was the first one in the world that ever recognized and brought the idea of Emunah into the world. Avraham Avinu brought that into the world. It wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
Avraham Avinu drew it into the world. So Avraham Avinu is still Avraham Avinu. Yeah. But Yisro was buried. Listen, the Torah gave him a parsha.
Yeah.
Right? The Kabbalah Torah, the main parsha in the Torah, was named after Yisro. Amazing. But the Zayah tells us why. Ki daike kishin is roimamu v'na'alu hanekudas tevishoyimu nachal lemata ma'oid. We can all imagine that the Nekuda Tavis in Yisrael were really, 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 really low. That brings so much more splendor to the Shechina when someone like that can come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's how you make the unification of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Shechina. B'chinas Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, like we say in Shema. Right, Kayadua, I explained that. Do you want me to explain it again? And we got it now. We got it, guys? Okay. Now, the Mishkan was one. The Cholol and Kol and Nekudas Tavis be'achdusa Yisbarach. Why does it say the Mishkan was one? Because we know before we had the Mishkan, there were bamos, right? You know what bamos were? Those were private altars that people were able to have in their backyard, right? But as soon as the Mishkan was set up, the Mishkan was one. Everyone had to bring everything to the Mishkan. That was the main address. There was no other addresses for any kind of karbanos or anything else. And now we're ready to daven Shemona Esrei. After we said Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, again we started off with the karbanos. We started off with the Ketairis. We did Psukei de Zimra. We did Amachadish Betuvay B'chol Yom Tamid Masei Bereishis. And then we said Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And we said V'shinamtem Levanecha. Now we're ready to say the Shemona Esrei. So Shemona Esrei Maskilin Hashem Sefasai Tiftach. And we start the Shemona Esrei. Hashem, please open up my mouth and let me say your prayer, your praises. Call everything that we learned about. Al Yedei Zeh Daika Yecholim Lispala. That's how we can be ready to daven a real tefillah. So again, when we're davening, we're going through the thing, and we're realizing that we're going from one world to the next, and then again, the main thing to understand is when we come to the world of Atzilus, right? The world of Atzilus is the highest world that we know about. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we have in the Zaydi is the Olam Atzilus. It says that even the Malachim, right? The Malachim, the Efanim, the Srafim, and all these kind of angels that are up there, they have no right to come into the world of Atzilus. You believe that? They have no right to come into the world of Atzilus. Only Nishmas Yisrael can come into the world of Atzilus. So when we daven Shemoneh Esrei, our neshama goes to that high place. Every time we daven Shemoneh Esrei, we enter a place with HaShem that no malachim are able to go. And what's the point that no malachim are able to go? There's no kitrim. There's no opposition there. Because the malachim can't go up there. So now it's mamash, we're one with HaShem when we daven Shemoneh Esrei. So don't take too much time with that to make it go real quick.
Why?
No, he's
Why?
kidding.
I'm joking. I mean, the shuls, unfortunately, that's what we... I mean it the other way. I'm saying, I said that facetiously. Unfortunately, again, like I said to you last time, anything you see in shul that they try to make very quick, they do it very quick, pay good attention to something special, why they're rushing through it.
Yeah.
That's it's a well anyway, all right. Well, at least we know now when we daven Shemoneh Esrei, we can have in mind that we're going to the world of Atzilus. We went from the Olam Asiya, we went to the world of Yetzirah, to Bria, now we come up to the world of Atzilus. It's a fascinating concept. And it's a reality. It's what we're doing. The Chazal teach us. It's what we're doing when we're davening. Every day. When we found the goodness and we were able to make that Mishkan, we built that place to be able to daven and come close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We can open our mouths to daven. Ki zeh ikar aliyas hatoiv sheyalu lebechinas diba. That's the main toiv that comes and we put it into dibur. In other words, you have all these thoughts, right? You have all the thoughts that I'm good and all of that. But then when you could put the thoughts into words, and that's the goodness that you're speaking out to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Ba'al kain mevakshim al zeh Hashem sifasai tiftach. That's why we start the Shemoneh Esrei. Please Hashem, open my mouth to say the beautiful things, to say the praises of you the right way, and let me ask you for the things for the right way, for the right things. In other words, like for example, we daven in Shemoneh Esrei for many things. We ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for forgiveness. We ask Hashem to bring us close to Torah, right, and forgiveness. We ask Hashem to give us, to heal us, so we can have in mind like this: Hashem, I want you to heal me so I could be a better Eved Hashem. Heal me so I could serve you better. Give me my parnasa so I can give more tzedakah. Give me my parnasa that I can give my family what they need so I can have more time to learn Torah. It's amazing. These are things that we can do. Again, and where do you come up with these ideas? Because you find the good within yourself. Does anyone want to add anything, please? Any comments? Nothing? You have any associations for psychology today?
Not like yet. Nothing today.
No?
Just make a Kabbalistic association.
Please.
You glossed over the Mayim Nukvin,
I did, yeah.
but just in a very
Yeah,
simple way.
I did it for a reason, but you want to talk? You can talk about it. Go ahead.
We don't need to.
Yeah.
No, but just in a very simple way that the elevation of the feminine waters is just like we said, like to raise an Nekuda Tova from the Klipa. Like a very simple way to understand what that Mayim Nukvin is an arousal from below, a hard work from below. That you put
It's a rusa de lasata.
Right.
We're bringing it up till Eila.
Right, so we're raising up the Nekuda,
Yes.
pulling it out.
And when we do that, so
Parallel
I'll just finish that off. So when we do that, and we are able to it's a rusa de lasata, and we're able to lift up something. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has so much appreciation for that we sent up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu has his Derusa de Leila, and he sends down to us all of the bounty and what we need. And it's a system. Again, because the Kadosh Baruch Hu has almost, so to say, a hakaras hatov to us, that we are. He finds a little bit obligated, a little bit, so to say, that we were working so hard to find goodness in the dark, gloomy world that we're in. It seems bright, but you understand what I'm saying, right? But we're able to still find that goodness. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm going to give you. And it's reciprocal. Okay, shkoyach, David.
Yeah.
Okay, shkoyach, okay.